Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. It's that time again. It's time for Cub Chat Live. Hey, Audrey, how are you?
I am doing great, Aaron. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Very, very excited about today's topic. Let's dive into it if we should. Shout out real quick to Rich and Rusty, who started commenting before our show even started. We love that. You guys got
Whoa.
on here nice and early. We appreciate that. Shout out to Pack 145 in Wallingford, Pennsylvania. Fred's checking in from the Three Fires Council. Brian's coming to us from Illinois. Lou's coming to us from New York State. We got Wendy. Good to see you, Wendy, from Illinois. Thank you guys so much for joining the show today. Audrey, my Cub Scout pack has a fall recruiting event like all Cub Scout packs do, right? So I guess I'm done, right? I don't need to worry about recruiting in the spring or anything like that. Is that right?
Well, today I think we're going to talk about how to do that maybe a little differently to set yourself up better for fall. So that you have all the pieces in place for fall so that you're ready to go, and also to strengthen yourself now and take advantage of lots of different factors. And we're gonna talk a little bit about inviting and it's kind of called soft touch recruiting.
Yeah, so I was going to ask that. Yeah, that's a term that you've used called soft recruiting and spring inviting instead of maybe spring recruiting, right? Just give us an overview of what that means and what you're talking about there.
Well, this can set your dens up for the fall for the biggest chance of success. And I know several folks are not maybe potentially used to this. Den leaders are tired and they're like winding down. Well, this is where the pack itself can shine, as well as some den activities. Maybe if you do it on like a rotating situation, but you now is your opportunity to start inviting, especially for your tiger dens, as you're going to need a new one starting in the fall, because honestly, the majority of the joining happens in the tiger year. Lions are still available and are terrific, but it is a much smaller group. So technically, families are looking for things to do for their children at about the tiger age. The bigger chunk. Right. And so this is a perfect opportunity to start getting ready to invite those people for some fun activities, and actually to reconnect to the families that you already had that first touch. The research and marketing says you need to touch, have soft touches 2 to 3 to 5 times before people make a decision or a commitment to something. So your first contact maybe was the fall, and maybe it didn't work out with these families for whatever reason, scheduling, sports or whatever reason, it didn't work out in the fall, but you already did contact them. So this is like, possibly another way to reconnect with them. Hey, maybe their schedules worked out better now, or maybe whatever they tried didn't work out so well for their family, but they're ready for this. And honestly, you haven't talked to them since the fall. So now would be a great time to connect with that. And also the weather is nicer. It's nicer in the spring and in the summer. And if you connect with them during the spring, which is what this is about, is connecting with them in the spring. We do things like a month or two ahead, so you have time to plan for this. So you're connecting with them in the spring, and then you're also inviting them to all the summer fun. And oh my gosh, isn't that the best? And now you've kind of got them hooked in for the fall, where it's more hopefully not all sit down lecture. Ours has made it really, really fun, but just more of it in a controlled environment, and maybe not as much outside. Right. So those are some great reasons to think about this seriously. Set yourself up for fall and reconnect.
Yeah. So real quick, Audrey, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but there could be a chance that, some folks may have joined your pack in the fall, parents who, quite frankly, maybe didn't know anything about Cub Scouts, right? They weren't in Scouts as kids,
That should be the way you start, is most don't.
Right, exactly, yeah. So maybe in the fall, they weren't ready to be leaders, but now here in February, they've been doing it for 5-6 months. Now they sort of get the hang of it. It's actually fun, simple, and easy. They realize maybe now's a good time to ask them, hey, would you be willing to be a leader next fall? Am I right about that?
Right. So you can set yourself up for leadership as well. And we're going to have some follow-on Cub Chats here in the upcoming months on how to strengthen that and how to do that. Look for those good leaders. And so it's not just take whoever's a live body, but somebody who's actually qualified and excited and going to follow through. And this is a perfect time to, if you invite new families now, or the families that you've already had, right? You've been able to observe them, which is the thing you want to do, observe how they relate to children.
Yep.
can manage things and how they can bring others on board to help so they don't get burned out. So those are great ways to set up your leadership for futures. Is you're inviting new families in the spring, and then they're having fun over the summer, and you've had some time to look at them, and then maybe you're like, you'd be the perfect Tiger Den leader after you've gone through our other Cub Chat on how to select leadership. And so you can set that in place to have more opportunities for leadership. And maybe you've got some holes. Maybe somebody moved in your other dens and they're not going to be returning in the fall. So it's a great way to start looking at that and building that up. But the other thing is you're strengthening the size of your dens. As like we said, people's lives change, people move, all these kinds of things. And you want to, keep that a robust, a small group and a good pack and be able to build things in all the youth that we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shout out to Justin, who I think this is the first time I've seen this term, Audrey, and I like it. Hello, fellow Cub Chat Liveaholics. I like it. I don't know if I've seen that before, but thank you, Justin. Appreciate that. Justin's watching on YouTube, as is Francie Lou, who Brian, Douglas, and Kat, a bunch of YouTube viewers, Scouter Craig, all these folks watching on YouTube. Love to see that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it. You mentioned, Audrey, nice weather in the spring. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's some community group events in the spring that we don't have during the fall. It's an opportunity for other fun events like camp, the summertime of fun adventures, things like that. Lots of good reasons, I think, mm-hmm. to do a spring inviting / soft recruiting in addition to what you do in the fall. So very, very good points. Let me ask you this question now, Audrey. Do we need to plan a big sign-up night? In the fall, I think most everybody knows about fall, for the recruiting night, right? School night for scouting, things like that. It's kind of a big event. Mm-hmm. Do we need to have something like that in the spring?
So you certainly can. You certainly can. If you've got a pack that's strong enough, has enough energy at the end of a year to do that, that's a wonderful thing. And I applaud that. But I'm going to talk to a lot of the folks that might be a little tired
yep.
after a year, have smaller packs, things like that. So I'm going to suggest some ways of doing that alongside what you're already doing, or alongside your council, what they're already doing, or, just partnering with them in things that are already going on. And maybe it's from a pack perspective as far as the pack runs that thing that you're already doing. And we're going to talk about a whole bunch of ideas here in just a minute. But and then, or, they're having the day camp and you're just inviting them to the day camp or whatever the scenario is. Maybe you have rotating dens where one den hosts the event for that month to plan it and get it all, and everybody invites to that. And then the next den leader mm-hmm. hosts that event, and they, as a pack, and then they do it. So you could rotate leadership so that it isn't all on one person. So that's kind of what I'm targeting here. You mm-hmm. absolutely can run it just like a fall recruiting event. And I know several councils that do that. Yes. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but you'd want to talk to, get your leaders on board of right. what it is that you as a committee want to do. Which way do we want to go? What kind of effort do we want to see here? And, how are our leaders feeling at this time of year? And then maybe if it is the sub-touch ones, you're working with your new member coordinator, if you have one, for these spring events to plan these things. But I think
now's a good time to have one.
Or just your committee schedule that's right. already in place. I do encourage a new member coordinator if you have enough people,
right?
Because we're going to talk about how you use them at these events. But you can just have outgoing parents. They don't have to have any kind of special title. They're just welcoming people in general who like to make other people feel welcome. So, and we've had 2 Cub Chat lives already on this topic,
right?
And you can find them right there, exactly, in our archives. They were from March 15 of 24 and March 17 of 23. And they each have like slightly different takes on this. So I'm going to give you one set of viewpoints for today and right now. But if you go back and listen to them, they might spark some other ideas that they had from their personal experiences and how they use this concept for spring recruiting to great success. The lady, I think her name was Lynn. Last year in March, she went from having to rebuild after the COVID mm-hmm. event from 6, and now their pack is up to 100. So there's been some very successful models out there of real people doing it, and we're kind of summarizing and giving you that, but there's some details there. The other thing you'd want to do is make sure I mean, you should always be doing this, but just in case you need that extra push, make sure that all your digital presence is up to date. Like your beascout.org pen for your pack is accurate and up to date. Like those leaders that moved, was one of them the Cub Master, or the person that was on the list of who to call or who to email if you want to join. So make sure all that information is up to date and accurate before you start sending out invitations to whatever it is that you're going to do. Also, I would encourage you, if you have a Facebook page for your pack, that's also up to date, and that you have current pictures in there, and make it look as interesting as possible when you're getting ready to invite, because that's one of the first things I do is I do a search and I do a check, and who are these people? What am I doing? And so just to make sure that digital presence is up to date. And then one of the other things is kind of lean into the idea as a group that it's going to take them 1 to 2 contacts before they're potentially going to sign up. Your fall families that you already touched, you're already invited. They may be ready to sign up immediately. The new families may be ready to sign up immediately, and you should be ready to accept, to show them how to do that. But just know that usually people take 1 to 2 times before they make a decision. So you're going to want to have that, either that person that's the new member coordinator or that excited parent, to be able to be the point person to follow up. So you have some people show up, then you got to follow up. Mm-hmm. Or they just fall off and those people didn't really care about me and my family, and they move on to something else. So those are some ideas on how to kind of prepare for some ideas. So what I'm going to suggest in just a minute.
Yeah, we're going to look here in just a second at what those soft invitations would actually look like. Brian has a question that I think is relevant. I'm not 100% sure if we're qualified to answer this, Audrey, but we're going to try. When you invite friends, non-scouting friends to Cub Scout activities, is there a rule on whether or not they're covered by insurance and things like that? I mean, I know that obviously you're allowed to invite friends to Cub Scout meetings and things like that. Do you know what that rule is, Audrey?
I think you'd want to verify that with your council, but I believe it's 1 to 2 times so that they can come before signing up.
Right.
Brian, you're come all the time without signing up because it's insurance.
Yeah, right? You're absolutely allowed to invite guests to Cub Scout activities. And
I would verify with your individual council.
And check with your district executive. If they continue to attend, they need to be registered, right, for sure. Right. And I also know that if they're attending an event that requires permission slips and things like that, all that stuff still applies whether they're members or not members. They still need to maybe have a health and safety form, right?
All safety measures always.
All that stuff still applies. Just because they're not current registered doesn't mean you don't need to get a health and safety form and all that good stuff like that. But maybe we'll talk about this a little bit more, but maybe that's why it's a good idea to invite them to more like a regular pack fun meeting instead of a rock climbing trip. We're not going to do that, obviously, but something like that. Yeah. Right. Let's talk about what these soft invites look like, Audrey. There are some resources that folks can use to put these together, right? Yes.
So first off is next slide. We can go ahead and talk about that. There are things that in our first off, the scouts themselves, if they're inviting folks, and we're going to give you some tools or ideas on how to invite people, they could get a recruiter strip on they wear on their uniform, and adults could get this too for starting a pack. I'm not sure about recruiting, but starting a pack, they could get a pack starter trip. Right. But the scout gets the recruiter strip, and the rest of the materials I'm going to lead you to here is in our brand center. And if you haven't found that, you need to go find that. There's a Cub Scout folder. There's also folders by topics. So one of them is on recruiting and spring recruiting, and it has things like yard signs, peer-to-peer cards, where you put your pack information on there, and then the peers, which is why I have the recruiter strip up here, can hand the cards out to a particular event or fun thing. And then they can get the recruitership if the person signs up. So check out the brand center. They have nice pictures if you want to use it for other things. There's lots of things going on, and lots of things tied to a couple other ideas I'm going to share here in just a minute. So the next slide is one of those ideas, and we're going to go through several of these ideas of just fun things to do. So this I thought was outstanding. This came from the Crossroads of America Council, which is in Indiana. And this is something their council provided. So you'd have to check with your council if they, not all councils have the funds to be able to do this and or the skills. But if they do, this is awesome. It's a game card. They made Cub Scouting into like a game card, and you just like collect them all. And it has on the back, it has a QR code. You know how much we are how fond we are of QR codes to lead you to websites to sign up or more information about the pack. And then it had the pack and a few things there on the back. And it has just fun things on there. And so that's something that a scout could hand out at any time and encourage them to come to a particular event. So I just thought those were super cute and very creative. Gamifying, Cub Scouts, just to let you know how much fun it is. The next thing that we have is something that you can do that we're talking about is posting in moms groups, because the research is that moms hold the calendar for the family. And so posting in moms groups or neighborhood groups that you're having this event, please come, we're just having fun. It's for these ages. So, and you need to use just real talk, like a real person, not our scouting lingo, it's for these ages. And we're having this event, and we'd love to see you. We'd love to welcome you to come have some fun and see what we like to do. And so that's another idea, is to post in those groups. Of course, schools are a great idea, but often school access could be limited. So the neighborhood groups or the moms groups are great targeting your audience type situations. Events that can happen, they can happen singly or by partnering with other community events. And we're going to have a Cub Chat Lives, a whole series on this actually, coming up on cycling, fishing, summertime fun in March and April. And those are perfect. Those are perfect events to invite people to come to. And as something that you're already doing as a pack. So the Cub Chats are on how to do it across a pack. And so if you're already planning this for your pack, why not invite extra people from the community to come and see this and take part and enjoy it. Let's see. And then some other ideas is, in general, partnering around holidays, community events, and traditional scouting events. And so we're going to go through some slides on some of those ideas. Yep. So this first one is that the first one? There we go. Is scouting for food. So the older units and a lot of Cub Scouts use scouting for food. So I've read about a lot of the Cub Scouts that they put their information on the door hanger of their Cub Scout pack. So that's a visibility thing. And then when they're at a collecting site or they're doing something else, then they have that door hanger or the flyer that tells about the Scouties and what they're doing for the community. So that's a perfect way to invite people is through that. And as you're going around your neighborhood, and you can talk to people or wherever your collection station is, that you're doing it safely and all that. And there is where the Scouting for Food sign up cards and things like that is at the brand center's scouting.org recruitment. And so it's a particular, they call it a campaign, where the first brand center link we showed you had more just general type things, and then there's going to be specific ones for, say, scouting for food. And so this is the idea there. The next slide, I thought this was so awesome, and we're going to be talking about this in more detail, like how to do this on the Cub Chat in March on cycling. But they put together a bike rodeo with 100 scouts in the San Francisco Bay Area, and they had community support. And I was approached also in my community in the Seattle area for the same thing about, well, can we put together a bike rodeo? And they talk a lot about safety, like the health educators were going to be donating helmets. So they were going to be donating helmets to anybody in the community that needed helmets. They had like medical personnel who were fitting the helmets to make sure they were properly fit, and teaching the children how to fit their helmet. And then they had some of the older scouts. So this is a great way to bring in some of your troops too. Teaching bike traffic directions. There are bike signals that you use to safely operate outside of your driveway. And it was just really fun. And so we're going to go into a lot more detail on that, but that's a perfect place to have community awareness. You definitely have signs out there. You'd have inviting. And if this is something you're already doing as a pack, I did it in our pack, not this kind of level, but just, we had obstacle courses and things like that. It just made it really fun. So that is a great idea. The next one is partnering with your council. And this is my council in Chief Seattle area, and they have a spring event, a spring fun event. And I can't remember if it's called Spring Fling or what it's called, but it has some fun title. And they have all sorts of game stations and things set up. And that is really fun community event, and the whole purpose is recruiting. So partnering alongside your council is obviously they're doing all the planning. So this would be a great way for you to come with your pack. And then this example has the pack, has a little booth right there, so you can see their particular pack from their neighborhood. And so that's another fun way. The next way is something we talked about and had a whole Cub chat on. This is around partnering with other organizations and like seasons, time of year. And so we have an activity card in our Champions for Nature under the service project, which is one of the requirements is do a service project. And then one of the ideas you can use is clean waterways, scouting for clean waterways. And so inviting other people to come and help do this community outreach of cleaning up the waterways and cleaning up parks near waterways. That is something that you could definitely invite people to do, or make sure there's visibility of. Like the suggestion was, have t-shirts, your pack t-shirts, everybody definitely wearing your pack t-shirts, and having some of the adults with QR codes on their t-shirts. I've seen those t-shirts. Yep. Or lawn signs, or something where you could put it in while you're working and the community sees that you're doing something out there, and that it's really fun. Another person in I think the Cub Chat volunteers had little bags for Earth Day and little hats, and they had their pack t-shirt. And it was just, as they were out doing a service project they were already going to be doing, they had some visibility. And so this is definitely very soft inviting, but you could invite your friends at school to come help do this. And then of course, I think they had ice cream afterwards or something like that. And it would be something fun. And as we talked about in that Clean Waterways Cub Chat, that the younger generations are very much interested in conservation, and specifically around water conservation, that's something important to their families. So this talks and speaks to that. So that's another great partnership. The next one is, then this one is, again, partnering with a community. I mean, I guess you could do it on your own. You could do it on your own. So, but I think this particular group that I pulled this from, they did it with their community, who did an Easter egg hunt for certain age groups. So, Easter egg hunts, they break them down into age groups. And they said, okay, we're looking for tigers, right? So we're only looking for, we would love to help you stuff. I think they just stuffed 200 eggs. Mm-hmm. They volunteered to fill them and stuff them, 200 eggs for ages 5 to 6. Well, that's target audience, right? That's exactly. And the community organization that was doing this was more than happy to let them put their little QR code thing on there that said they got a free prize. I think they got something once they came and joined, or maybe it was they just came and they got a sticker or something to the Den meeting. And then, they got the normal treats and a sticker from their pack. And that was a great way to provide labor and service to a community organization at the same time having a touch point. And you had to do the volunteers, yes, but you didn't have to plan the event. The community planned the event. And so that's a one way to do it. You certainly could hold your own Easter egg thing, but this was a very targeted to the age group they needed. They needed a new tiger den, and there they are looking for that tiger den. So that was a very creative way to partner with a community organization.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed one of the advantages there, is that you don't have to plan the event from scratch, right, Audrey? This is an event.
Right, and that's what I'm encouraged, because I do think that we have smaller packs and that we have leaders that are a little bit tired by the end. So whatever you can do to make this work, but easier on the adults that are having to organize it. Partner with all these other things that are already happening, or maybe are already on your pack calendar, but just think of it a little bit broader, not just our pack, but who can we invite and how can we work on that? And then so the last slide has some more just general ideas that I just pulled off the comments. One was, community in the park, rain garden regatta, and they just had them make them with pool noodles, cut up pieces of emergency blanket, a little, I saw either both a popsicle or a skewer, depending on what you wanted to do, and some straw and a real gutter, not the fancy things or the blow up ones you could use too. And then they raced them and had fun. Another one is classic kickball and popsicles in the park. There is no setup. You come, and I would always bring like obstacle courses. I'm a big fan of obstacle courses, like throw the ball into this and then go around that. And then, and you could set that up in nothing. I just always kept it in my trunk. And then you can invite people and have popsicles and just a fun gathering activity that you have for your, and this one might be more in line with dens. Like if you wanted to just narrow it down to your particular den and not an overall pack thing. But it could certainly be a pack thing. Why not? And then just, and then another one just said, just playground dates. Just once a month we meet in the park, and we're going to just let them play on the play structures and have a gathering. Those are very soft touches, but you want to make sure you have your welcoming people in place on all these events. And other ideas are just, walking days, going out for a walk. So we're meeting and we're going to go for a walk on this trail, and we'd love to have you come join us. We're going to go outside. We're going outside, and it's beautiful.
Yep.
Fishing derby in May. And again, we're going to have that. Yep. Yeah. Rod is right on track there. Yep. We are going to have a Cub chat on that coming up. Fishing derbies are I think they're number 2. It's either number 2 or 3, and what people want to do at this age. So it's a really big deal. So you have yours for your pack, but maybe now you're inviting extra people to it. So or you're with somebody else that's already doing a fishing derby. I was
going to say, some of those fishing derbies that are sponsored by local organizations, a state park, they will often provide gear too, right? They'll provide rods and reels and things like that. So you don't have to worry about anything as far as that goes. You just show up ready to go with a bunch of eager Cub Scouts. So that's a great opportunity.
And so in this instance, it's more of shifting your mindset into what can we do alongside these things. You're not necessarily planning anything extra. You're just, how can we use this to invite other people to it? And then making sure you have those resources available. So it's making use of what's already going on.
Right. One of the things we haven't mentioned, we are 29 minutes into our show, Audrey, and we have not mentioned anything about rank advancement. And there's a reason for that, right?
Well, because it was number 4, but yes, because honestly, rank advancement is not important. It is a method we use to teach the values of scouting, and so the important things is that we're here to develop citizens, we're to develop character, we're there to develop fitness and leadership. And those can be done through our rank advancement program. It's the easiest way, but they can also be done through meetings and interactions. And the important part is that we get youth in there, and then we're able to start teaching some of those things. And it can be as simple as, if one of these events is a pack meeting and you have, your oath and law and you have a flag ceremony, And you're starting to get some of those components in there, and then hopefully that draws them in so that you can teach them longer. So there's like two ways to think about this. One way is you can talk to the parents. If you're doing this early spring, you can talk to the parents. With the exception would be AOLs, they're probably already gone. but you might have some AOLs, and then you can encourage them to the troop. But you can talk to the parents and see if that is important to them. Just say, we do have this rank-based thing, and if you haven't already had your rank awarding, and so rank awarding usually often happens at the blue and gold, and it's separate from bridging into your next level. And so the end of the year is when, with the exception of AOLs, you're bridging into the next debt. So hopefully you've already awarded your rank to the folks that earn it, because we want, immediate recognition for a job well done. And that should be happening. The program is designed that it mostly happens right around the blue and gold, which is right around February. It might be March if however, depends on your pack. Yeah. But in general, the spring is for fun. And you have electives and outside activities and different things that you're doing. Additional fun. The first part's fun, but additional fun that you're able to do things outside. So this is the idea. So you could talk to the parents and see if that's important to them. Say, we do have this rank-based program that we have just completed, and now we're doing these fun activities and electives. You can either, if you would like to, in Cub Scouting, the parents can work on advancement with their youth. You could set up an assistant leader to help work with them on this, or they could say, no, that's not important to us. We're just here for the fun. And that is okay. That is okay. We're leading with fun in Cub Scouts because, like I said, they're going to be able to get those elements. So don't worry about that if the parents are not worried about that. They will get rank next year when they're in their new den as they're rising to the next level. So that is not something that we want to worry about. We can give them options, but this is about capturing them while you have the moment, and then being able to give them that Cub Scout experience for as long as they're able to be there. And so that's the take on advancement and rank. And they will still get a belt loop for everything that if you're doing electives in those den times, or if you're doing an elective as a pack, like if you're doing the fishing as a pack and they complete all the requirements, or you're doing some of those other things, then they can still get the belt loop for that, definitely, or pin, depending on your age, if you're a Weeblo.
Yep. Audrey, so if we host one of these or attend one of these spring events, and we have families coming to these events, maybe some of them we haven't really dealt with that much, maybe, right? Even if they joined the pack recently, what are some things we need to know to do with these families when we get there? We know that engaging with our families is important, right? So what kind of advice can you share on what we need to do once these families arrive at these events?
Absolutely critical, actually. Absolutely critical. So you've gone to all this work, and excitement to invite people, but then if you don't follow up or contact them or make them feel welcome at the event, you've just lost them, and you've just lost all that effort. So in past Cub Chats, we've talked about this, and many times on different topics, that families are looking for a place of connection and community that they're not getting in other spaces, and Cub Scouting can provide that. So you need those new member coordinators, or just those excited family parents or family members that are those outgoing people that really good. Have them welcome them. Have them at the event. Have a welcome person. Have a sign up area just to get contact information. And then welcome them to the event, walk them through it, show them what's going on. Have several, because if you have a successful thing, you need to have several people, making sure that they feel welcome. If they do not feel welcome, they will not return. And that's as simple as that. So it's actually critical that if you're having an inviting component, that you have a welcoming component as part 2. And then part 3, that you have a follow-up component, because that's the third thing we heard in so many of the research surveys, is that we never were communicated with. We didn't know who the leader was. We didn't know who to contact with. So all that information needs to be clear and concise. So at the second table, maybe you have a calendar for the next several events that are coming up that they're invited to. If you're not inviting them to den things and you're only inviting them to the pack things, then give them the calendar just for the pack things. If you're inviting them to be part of a den and you're going to do other elective events with them in a den meeting situation, then, give them that information. Here's your den leader. So it depends on how your pack is going to handle this. And make sure that you have all the sign-up information. Some families maybe are those families you talk to in the fall, or they just love this idea so much they're ready to sign up right now.
Right.
Make it for them. Have a computer there, have something so that they are on their phone that they can sign up immediately. And then make sure you have that follow-up person text them or call them or email them, whichever their preferred method, or all three, because sometimes people respond differently to different modes of communication. Just to say, hey, we loved having you. It was so great. We'd love to see you at the next thing. And here's what it is. Yep. And so, yes. Yeah. Those are key components. And that one will take some work. The other things, if you're already partnering with somebody, may not take so much work, but the follow-up, it does take a little bit of work in that, but that's critical and absolutely.
It is. Yeah. We've learned that so many people are not followed up with, right? And they want to join, but they never hear from the right person. Again, it is a great idea if you have someone who can sort of take that job. They're the new family coordinator, new member coordinator, whatever you want to call it. And their job is to make sure that family knows who they can reach out to if they have questions, if they need any support, anything like that. Audrey, this has been a great discussion. What else? Is there anything else we need to cover before we let the folks go?
No, I just didn't know if there was any questions that we hadn't answered in the chat. I haven't had any time to look at that.
Okay. Yeah. Rich says communication is always the hardest part, and the first place things start to unravel. That's true, Rich. Yep. Luke agrees with the same thing. Nicholas has a good question. Any advice on engaging parents in the midst of a busy sports season? Yeah, that's one thing, that families, we're competing for time. Families are busy. Audrey, what's your philosophy on that?
Well, all you can do is try, right? So summer camp and day camp is a great thing that they might be looking forward to. So when you do your engagement, maybe you have the next thing on your contact information. So you can't make this one, we're going to go do this, and here's the link or the website or the QR code, however you're handling that, to find out more information. So if you're inviting them to the bike rodeo, and they're not able to make the bike rodeo, what's the next thing?
Right.
What's the next thing that they could come to? Make sure that they're aware of the next thing. And that at the point of contact, they have all the information they need to, sign up, find the pack, and what is the next thing?
Right.
Because you may only have that one time in person.
Right.
And make the most out of it.
Yeah, a lot of it comes back to, having a packed calendar, which I think we've done entire shows about that too.
We have done entire shows on that. So
right.
Cub Live is rich. It's a rich resource. If you go back to those archives, there is a lot of information there and a lot more detail. We have to compress it into half an hour or nearly half an hour.
And as a reminder, we're available as a podcast now, so you can listen to it in your car or on your phone when you go for a walk or go to the gym or whatever. Francie Luhu says they handed out 8 recruiter strips this fall. Very cool, Francie Luhu. Glad to see that. Rob says, hi, I'm Rob, and I'm a Cub Chataholic. Rob, that's the first step to acknowledging that you're a Cub Chataholic, is saying it out loud like that. So very, very
and tagging people like, that would be better. Help. This would help.
Yes, a lot of folks have tagged people in the comments, which is very, very useful. We encourage you to continue doing that, everybody. Thanks to you all for watching. Shout out to everybody who joined, and we got a lot of good comments and a lot of people asking questions in the comments, Audrey, and then people answering, which is really, really cool to see. This has been great. Audrey, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks.
Thank you all for watching. We'll be back with another episode of Cub Chat Live next week. Enjoy the weekend. Stay warm. See everybody. Bye, Audrey.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in today. Be sure to catch next week's episode. Same time, same place. And let us know how we're doing at go.scoutingmagazine.org/rate-cubchat. We love feedback and ideas for new episodes. And you can visit blog.scoutingmagazine.org/cubchatlive for all our past video episodes. You can see us live. Except it's recorded, but it was live. Okay, see you next week.